Have you ever been in a cave, like legit a real cave? I've been on guided tours. I've never explored one by myself because they're super dangerous. When you're down there, you can really tell how you can get lost. The paths start winding different ways. There's a lot of small spaces, like crawl spaces, to get through from one area and the other. And of course, there could be cave-ins. You got to be real careful with stuff like that. We're going to react to a horror story about a cave today by 1C Entertainment. Make sure to head on over to his channel and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, guys. And if you like reaction videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel as well. Let's get into this animation. The thing I saw in the cave.
I'm from Afghanistan. My family relocated to France in 2003.
Okay.
Shortly after the American invasion. I was only 12 years old when it all started.
Okay, 12 years old.
Between 2001 and 2003, armed terrorists would intrude into our home and use it as a headquarters to plot attacks against the invading army.
Can you imagine?
My father suffered from a genetic disease that would eventually take the use of his arms and legs.
Oh no.
This is why I think
horrible,
the Taliban
man.
chose to hold up in our home.
Right.
There would be no resistance.
Yeah.
The first time
we coming in and using your
doors,
facilities.
It was horrifying for me and my two younger sisters.
Knock the
But
door
eventually
down.
we got used to waking up and seeing armed men in our living room.
Wow. How do you get
About
used
a year
to
after the
like
war
that?
broke out, following the attacks on the World Trade Center in New York, the Taliban would begin to raid small villages like mine, looking for recruits to replace the fighters that were killed in combat.
Right. Drafting.
Of course, since they knew where I lived,
Or
and that
enslavement,
my father was in no position to do anything about it, I was one of the first to be taken from my village.
Yep.
Myself and several other boys were blindfolded and loaded onto a truck,
That's hard.
then driven to a remote location outside of town.
They start training
My
them
village
young,
was
is what I
located
heard
west
too.
of the
Those
Hindu
carousels.
Kush Mountains. That's about the only location that I could give for this place.
Right. Pretty remote. Secretive.
After about an hour of just sitting in the truck, we were finally ordered out, and the blindfolds were removed. By this time it was dark out. The armed men made us line up single file in front of this enormous cave entrance.
Wow.
I remember seeing crates of weapons and ammo at the mouth of this cave.
Sheesh,
But
man.
beyond that, there was nothing but darkness.
Right.
There were 5 armed men total. They all had their faces covered, and just stood there with their weapons ready. If I had to guess, they were waiting for their leader to come out and give us the initiation speech.
Uh-oh.
Looking around, I was definitely the oldest of the 7 boys that were there.
Right.
Because of my past experiences with the Taliban, I knew that these men were not the good guys.
Right.
They may have prayed to the same God as me, but they were ruthless and brutal to their countrymen.
Man.
I was at the very end of the line. Directly behind me was the cave
hard,
entrance. So I made a split-second decision and made a break for it.
Into the
I ran
cave?
full speed into the dark
Wow.
cave, hearing angry shouting from behind me. I ran past the supply crates and further into the cave. The passage narrowed as I moved forward. I heard the truck reposition. The headlights were now aimed directly at the cave's entrance.
So they could see
I
further
eventually
in.
entered an open cavern area. I could hear the men behind me, so using what little light I had, I hid behind a rock formation that was beside the opening and waited for my pursuers. 2 of the armed men eventually entered the cavern. I heard one of them saying that if they found me, they would just put a bullet in my head for causing trouble.
Wow.
I peeked my head out from behind my hiding spot to see an AK-47 pointed directly at my face.
Oh my God,
One of the men had found me. He shouted at me to stand up, and as soon as I did, we both heard a loud scream coming from the other side of the cavern.
The other guy? The hell?
I only caught a quick glimpse of what was happening.
I thought this was the horror
other man
story.
was on the ground.
No!
He
Giant
was completely
spiders?
covered, head to toe, by enormous spiders.
Holy
Without
cow,
exaggeration, these spiders had to be the size of house cats, and there were hundreds of them crawling all over him.
Can you
The man who discovered me quickly turned around and gasped at the horrifying sight.
Oh my
I
God.
took this opportunity to flee.
Hell
There
yeah.
was no way I was going further into that cavern.
So you went
So I
out
used the
the other way.
headlights that were still pointed at the cave's entrance to make my way back out.
Right.
As I ran, I heard the sounds of gunfire, shortly followed by more screaming.
You can't kill that many spiders? God. Wow,
As I neared
dude.
the cave's opening, the headlights quickly vanished, leaving me in complete darkness.
Wow.
This was the absolute worst time to be in the dark.
Yes.
I made my frantic exit from the cave, just in time to see the taillights of the truck as it sped off.
At least you got out.
The other boys and the remaining Taliban fighters were gone.
Dang.
They may have thought that what was happening in the cave was an attack by the Americans.
Oh, because they heard the
cut and
screams.
run. I was now scared out of my wits, and I had no idea where I was.
In the middle
and
of
even
nowhere.
worse, I was now
Spiders.
terrified that these humongous spiders
Just
would
don't go in
emerge
the
from
cave.
the cave and devour me. There was one path through a rock formation that the truck had driven through,
Okay.
and that was the only way I could take. I remember thinking that these spiders could jump on top of me at any moment, so I ran as fast as I could.
You think they'd come out the cave?
As soon as I cleared the rocks, I could see the lights of my village in the distance.
Wow.
It took me about 2 hours to reach the town, but I thankfully made it back in one piece.
Holy cow.
In the
man.
time that I was gone, American troops had taken over my village.
Really?
I was stopped by soldiers and was taken to an interpreter for questioning.
Holy
I was
crap,
more than
dude.
happy
That's
to tell them
lucky.
where the Taliban was hiding, and after a while, they eventually dropped me off at my house. My mother was
What?
overjoyed to see that I was still alive.
Thank goodness. Happy ending.
When I think back to this experience, I can still say with 100% certainty, what scared me the most was not the armed men who broke into my home
you had been
and took me
exposed
from
to
my
that.
family. It was what dwelled in that
Hell
cave.
yeah. You know, I thought the horror story was actually him going through all of that stuff. I never expected to see the spiders, dude. Oh. Man, that was really good. Once he entertained me, guys. Make sure to check him out right there, as well as a couple other reaction videos I did from him. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off, and we'll see you next time.